The Philadelphia Eagles just rolled the New York Giants in dominating fashion, pitching their first complete game of the season. Now, I'm not going to diminish what this victory means, or I'm not going to diminish who the victory came up against, because this is the same Giants team that beat the Eagles 34-17. 34-17. So you had to get your lick back in dramatic fashion. And you knew the only way to do so was to come into this game buttoned up, healthy as you possibly can be, and not taking your opponent lightly. And from beginning to end, the Philadelphia Eagles dominated the New York Giants. Now, the Eagles didn't have like 2, 3, 4 like scoring drives in a row, but you know, there was a touchdown. Then there was a punt by the Eagles offense. I'm sorry, it was a touchdown. Then there was a missed field goal by the Eagles. Then touchdown, then punt, then touchdown. Then that's the end of the half. Eagles come out of the half, field goal, followed up with a touchdown, then followed up with another touchdown drive. And then that's the end of the game. So the Philadelphia Eagles, although they didn't score on every drive in the first half, they were extremely dominant in the second half. I felt like they moved the ball pretty comfortably against this Giants team. Again, a Giants team that made life for you very difficult 2 weeks ago. So I'm not going to sit here and say all of a sudden, it's the Giants. I'm not doing that. I'm not. They took it to the Eagles 2 weeks ago. So you had to handle them this week with the same tender love and care. And that came by way of a 38-20 point victory. Jalen Hurts was phenomenal in this game, but I think it begins and ends with that man Saquon Barkley and his offensive line. They were without Cam Jurgens. No Cam Jurgens in this game, by the way. You have Brett Toth in that center. And me and my man, Coach Marcus Thomas of Pro Fan Talk, we spoke about this. We said that we believe Brett Toth is more of a natural center than he is a guard, or he just plays better at the position of center. Nonetheless, Brett Toth was pretty solid today, especially in the run game. And I mentioned this to Marcus. I said to him, hey, Brett Toth is a guy that went to Army. They don't pass the ball down there. They just run the ball. So he's a run blocking dude. So we saw Brett Toth playing with confidence. We saw Brett Toth in his element. Now, the game did start off with 3 penalties on the offensive line in the first quarter. I think one came from Brett Toth, one came from Lane Johnson, and one came from Landon Dickerson. So offensive line timing was a tick off a little bit, but overall, when you end the game as a team, when you end the game with 276 rushing yards, your largest total since week 12 of the 2024 season, you can't tell me and say the Philadelphia Eagles haven't found their swing. You can't tell me the Philadelphia Eagles don't have their groove back, right? Because they struggled to run against any defense. It didn't matter how good or bad they were. They struggled to run the ball. So you got to give credit to Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni, and Jalen Hurts and those guys for coming up with a very balanced game plan, and for the offensive line showing up for their best performance of the day while being shorthanded without Cam Jurgens. Again, this is a phenomenal game by Jalen Hurts, phenomenal game from Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby, Jahan Dotson. This was a all hands on deck type of victory. And they were efficient. They were effective. They protected the football. I do think the Eagles got away with the fumble in the red zone on that tush push. They got away with that. I will say that. They got away with that. But that's not the Eagles' problem. Right? The refs have to make the call. If they don't make the call, hey, you move on. That play alone didn't decide this game. Nonetheless, Jalen Hurts, efficient, 15 for 20, completes 75% of his passes, 179 passing yards, averaged 9 yards an attempt, 4 passing touchdowns. And I'm not talking about BS touchdowns. Nah. Jalen Hurts gave you a variety of touchdowns. He hit Saquon Barkley on the wheel route. He found Dallas Goedert in the flat. He found who else did he find? He found Jahan Dotson. He found Jahan Dotson on go up and get it ball. Jahan Dotson was one-on-one with his man. Jalen Hurts gave him a shot. Jahan Dotson climbs the ladder and brings in the tough catch. Jahan Dotson's been doing that for the Eagles since he's been here. been making tough catch after tough catch. Saquon Barkley had that 65-yard run. But again, I say, Jalen Hurts with a 26-yard pass to Devontae Smith at the top of the second quarter. I mean, the 9-yard touchdown pass to Saquon Barkley. What else did he do? He had a 6-yard touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert on a quick slant. I think that was the quick slant one, if I'm not mistaken. Like, Jalen Hurts was just on a heater. He was on a heater. And that's 7 passing touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. Jalen Hurts is going into the bye week confident, comfortable. This offense was in a rhythm. The running game is back on track. This game actually reminds me of the previous Giants game from 2024. Remember, coming out of that bye week in week 5, the Eagles had Browns in week 6. Then they had Giants week 7. Browns week 6, Giants week 7. That Browns game was a tough one a little bit. Saquon didn't really get off in that game, but the Eagles won the game nonetheless. I think Devontae Smith scored the game-clinching touchdown on a crossing route. Week 7, that's when, in my opinion, that Eagles offense, that whole team started to work in concert. All 3 phases. Saquon has an amazing game. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown go off. This game, we're going to remember this game for the remainder of the season. Let this be known that this was the game. Actually, one may argue it was the Vikings game, but I'm calling this game because all 3 phases were working. Will Shipley, he had 3 or 4, like 2 or 3 kick returns, setting up the Eagles on the 40-yard line or at best, or better, excuse me. But again, Jalen Hurts, 15 for 20, completes 75% of his passes, 179 passing yards, averaged 9 yards an attempt, 4 passing touchdowns, no turnovers, was sacked 4 times, had that ugly sack for a loss of 16 yards, but Tank Bigsby fixed that quickly. Ended the game with a 141.5 passer rating. Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, 150 yards. Didn't even play the fourth quarter. Averaged over 10 yards a rush, 1 rushing touchdown for 65 yards, and also had 4 catches on 5 targets for the day, 24 receiving yards, a receiving touchdown of 12 yards. I'm sorry, a receiving touchdown of, it doesn't matter. I think it was 6 yards. Regardless, Saquon Barkley did his thing. 2 touchdowns on the day, 170-plus yards of offense. Tank Bigsby, 9 carries, 104 yards rushing, averaged over 11 yards. What? Longest run of the day, 29 yards on the 3rd and 31, or what was it, 3rd and 26? Last time we saw 200-yard rushes in the backfield with Sean McCoy and what's my man name? Was it Bryce Young? Bryce Hall, whatever his name was, the running back. It's just amazing. Devontae Smith, 9 targets, 6 catches, 84 yards. Exactly what the Eagles needed from him, converting on 3rd and longs and 2nd and longs throughout the game. Jihaad Dotson, 1 catch, 40 yards, touchdown. Dallas Goedert, 3 catches, 3 targets, 2 touchdown catches. Great game.